What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Momentum Monday. My name is Steve Holbrook, and I am going to be your host again today. I'm fired up for today's episode. I do a lot of traveling. For those of you that have been following me for a while, I do a lot of traveling. I do a lot of speaking engagements. I've built a very successful sales organization where I have hundreds of people making income on a monthly basis. And one of the top questions that I get asked is, Steve, do you think that winners just win and losers lose? Like, am I predisposed to win or predisposed to lose? I mean, look at the background that I came from. Look at my parents. I didn't come from much. Is there any shot of me becoming a winner? And my answer is 100%. Look, there's a formula. There's a formula to winning. Today's episode is called Winners Win, the formula to dominating your life. Look, there's a formula to dominating your life. Everybody wants to be a winner, yet most people that I talk to, they feel like they're losing the game, and they still haven't lost the weight that they said they were going to lose 10 years ago. They still aren't getting paid what they're worth. They still haven't saved enough money to become financially independent. Look, the definition of insanity is this: doing the same things over and over and over again and expecting different results. If you see other people around you winning, it's time to start paying attention to what those people are doing. Don't just sit back and judge them. Don't just sit back and make excuses on why they're winning and you're not. Look, here's my definition of hell. This is a great question. About 6 weeks ago, a lady at a meeting, she said, Steve, what's your definition of hell? And I thought, man, that's a pretty intense question. And there's a bunch of different definitions that I would have of hell, but one of the first ones that came to mind is this. My definition of hell is waking up in the morning because somebody else is telling me what time I have to go to work. And I drive in the same traffic every day. And at the end of every year, I beg my boss for a $5,000 raise. I beg him or her. And I also try and get 2 or 3 extra days a year off in vacation. 2 or 3 extra days a year. And they look me in the eye and say, hey, Steve, I want you to take all of your goals and dreams that you have for your family, and I want you to shove that into 3 weeks vacation time every year. All of your goals and dreams. And you know what? That's my nightmare. A life where I never actually lose the weight that I say I'm going to lose. A life where I don't have time to save money and get wealthy. Yet I have a fantasy football league and I got time for Netflix and I have all these things that I'm doing that doesn't serve me. That's my definition of hell. It's pretty intense, isn't it? Well, it should be. It's your life. And life is real and life is intense, especially when you're focused on getting out of the situation or moving forward. I don't care if you're 18 years old, if you're 60. It's never too late. Once you understand the formula of success and the mindset of a winner, you can change your life, and it starts today. I know a lot of 60-year-olds that come to us or that I coach or mentor that say, you know what, I did the corporate thing, or I felt stuck in this area of my life for the last 40 years, but I'm ready to make a change. If you understand the mindset of a winner, you can do in 5 to 7 years what 99% of humans will never accomplish over their lifetime. So let's get started. Here we go. Winners win. The secret formula to dominating your life. I added the word secret in here because, you know what, it seems like it is a secret, even though it's not. But everybody thinks that winning is a secret. So winners win, the secret formula to dominating your life. These are 5 concepts that I want you to write down. I want you to understand. 5 concepts that winners understand. The first concept, if you want to be a winner, you need to understand this. Number 1, winners understand the law of diminishing intent. Wow, Steve, that sounds pretty intense. Like we're getting really deep on the first point. Listen to this. The law of diminishing intent. It's very simple. Here's the law. Procrastination, first of all, I'll tell you the law. The law is this. The longer it takes you to do something, the less likely you are to ever do it. The longer it takes you to get started, the longer it takes you to get started on losing that weight or saving that money or starting that business, the longer it takes you to get started, the less likely you are every single day to ever start. You guys, procrastination kills more dreams than haters ever will. You think it's your uncle, you think it's your aunt, you think it's your sister. Some of you even blame your spouse. There's been times where I've blamed other people for my lack of success. But you know what it usually comes back down to? Procrastination. The law of diminishing intent. The longer it takes me to get off the couch and start to do something, the less likely it is I'm ever going to do it. Straightforward. Very important for you to understand that. The second concept I want you to understand, number 2, focus on getting into the smaller rooms. Winners always focus on getting into the smaller room. What does that mean? It's crowded at the bottom. You need to do everything you can ethically and morally to separate yourself from the pack. Get around big leaders. I see all these people, they go to these conferences or they get around CEOs or they get around these successful people, and they're the first ones to leave the meetings. They have to go home early, or they don't want to come to the meeting after the meeting after the meeting, right? Because they don't like eating chicken wings and beer. I don't drink beer or eat chicken wings either, but I'm always in the last meeting of the night. I never want to be the first one to leave. When the crowd thins out, what's left, the residue that's left over, those are the real champions. Those are the real champions. Because the real champions make arrangements to never be the first one to leave. You always want to get in the small room. If there's an opportunity for a VIP dinner or a contest or a personal development course where you can get into the VIP room. I was just at the Arete Syndicate with Andy Frisella and Ed Milet. It's a global movement for change in the world. It's the verification badge for entrepreneurship. And there's a room of 1,000 entrepreneurs, and there's another couple thousand people online across the world watching this. And they asked me to be the MC. You know what the most powerful part of that event was? People say, man, what was your number one nugget that somebody said on stage? I say, you know what? I don't remember much what was said, but I remember how I felt being backstage with like 6 of us. 1,000 people in the front of the room, 6 of us behind stage. I found myself that day in a smaller meeting. As a result of that, my identity changed, and the winners continue to win because they understand the concept of always fight to be in the smaller room. Very important. My third point. This one makes me emotional because this happened to me. Number 3, the storm is coming. You guys, the storm is coming in your life. Your life cycles. And there's going to be a point where somebody passes away or somebody gets sick or something happens to you that's unexpected. My question for you, when the storm comes, how big is your boat going to be? Are you going to be on a little dinghy with one oar in the middle of the ocean? Or are you going to be on a cruise liner? There's going to be a time where you need money. There's going to be a time where a recession hits and your business needs cash flow, or when you have a health challenge, or when you have a family issue or a financial issue. In 2009, my storm hit me pretty hard. I have severe Crohn's disease. After 27 years of battling with my disease, I lost my colon, I lost my rectum, I lost part of my small. My storm hit me January 6th, 2009. And although I was sick a long time, this storm was unexpected. And I almost passed away. I was in the hospital for on and off for the entire year. But you know what? Thank goodness I had built myself a little business. It wasn't much. It was a little business after 5 years that was paying me $150,000 a year, whether I got out of bed or not. And I'm not here for the money, right? The money follows passion. The money follows business success when you focus on the right areas. But I'll tell you what, your storm is coming. And a couple years after that, my son got diagnosed with IBD, irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS, and it might be Crohn's. And he spent a couple weeks in the hospital. Well, the storm hit our family again. And guess who didn't have to ask for time off work? I was prepared for the storm. Every day I get up, I'm preparing for the next storm, the next recession, the next family emergency, the next financial crisis in my family. I'm preparing for that storm. Winners understand the storm is coming. They don't get caught up in the blue skies, right? They get caught up in when the storm comes, I'm going to be prepared for it. So prepare for the storm because it's coming. My fourth point, hit your window. Hit your window. What does that mean? I want you to imagine a window, and I want you to imagine the window is now open, but I want you to imagine the window is constantly closing. And when that window eventually closes, that's it. Your time up to do what you intended to do is up, and you can't go back. In a larger sense of that, I mean, that represents our life. When our window closes, that's it. No second chances. But listen to this. People always tell me this. They say, Steve, you always say to be in a hurry, but opportunity is better today than it was 10 years ago. Yeah, you know what? The opportunities in the world always seem to get better. But you know what? You always get a year older. Every year, my business gets better. Every year, entrepreneurship, the opportunity to be an entrepreneur gets better. But you know what? You get a year older. And I don't know about you, but every year that I get older, I start thinking a little bit more about what the end has in mind. Every single person listening to this right now has a window. At some point, your window is going to close. At some point, you're going to stop doing what you're doing to get to your goals, either by choice. Some of you might just retire because of all the success. And when you retire, your window closed. You're no longer earning money anymore. You're enjoying the fruits of your labor. Some of you, the window will close because you missed the opportunity, or you got sick, or you passed away. Like me, I almost did in 2009. Very important to understand the concept that every single day your window is closing. And now's the time to get after it. Winners are obsessed with hitting their window. My fifth point, my last point, winners understand this clear as day. Listen to this. Number 5. You're going to wish you got started earlier. Winners understand that in 5 years, they're going to look back, and the only thing they're going to want to change is they wish they would have got after it earlier. Every single time I get around a mentor of mine, every single time I get around a leader of mine, back to the Arte, Ed Milet got asked that question. If you could change one thing, here's what he said. He said, look, if I knew how good it was to get wealthy, if I knew how good it was to get free, if I knew how good it was to be that go-to person for my family, man, I would have started doing this a lot sooner. And I've heard that from every single entrepreneur that I've ever interviewed. If they knew how good it felt to feel accomplished and have that significance and contribution and growth feeling inside of their heart, if they knew how good it was going to be, they would have started earlier. You know, people will tell you, being successful is usually 10, 15, 20 times harder than they ever thought. But they always tell you that it's 1,000 times more worth it. That should give you some indication that you got to get started right now. You got to get started right now. Because if you knew how good it felt to have no debt, have getting paid what you're worth, loving what you do, not having any of that financial stress. You still got problems, don't get me wrong. The bigger the life, the bigger the problems. But your capacity to handle those problems will increase as you gain momentum in your life. And if you knew how good it felt to feel like you had control of your life, I think you'd start a lot sooner. So take my word for it, right? Take some of my mentors' word for it. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening. We're gaining a ton of momentum with Momentum Monday. Here's all I ask. This is free. There's no advertising. I don't get paid through this. This is what I ask. Please stop the tape, stop the recording, and please go give me a rating or review if you loved what you heard. Or share it on Instagram, share it on Facebook. We have to continue this momentum. Our last episode got more downloads than all the other downloads combined. We are gaining some major momentum right now with this podcast. We are literally changing people's mindset. The feedback I'm getting is they love that it's only 15 to 20 minutes long. They can listen to it at the gym. They can get through a bunch of episodes. We got some big things planned for this podcast. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. I hope you guys got some value. Please reach out. Please DM me. Please share this. Please rate and review. That's all I ask. Do me a favor. We'll talk to you guys soon.